You live coverage of a joint press conference with President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House. In the meantime, here's their meeting from a short time ago.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, do you expect phase 2 of the hostage deal to go forward?
I'm going to talk to you later.
Mr. President, you managed to get this deal done. Some say, a lot of people say that the men who managed to do that should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think that you'll be able to get all the hostages back home? And what would happen if you hear from these?
They will never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
What would happen? What needs to happen?
It's too bad. I deserve it, but they will never give it to me.
What needs to happen for normalization to go forward? What needs to happen for normalization in Saudi Arabia?
Well, we're going to see, and we're dealing with a lot of people, and we have steps to go yet, as you know. And maybe those steps go forward, and maybe they don't. We're dealing with a very complex group of people, situation and people. But we have the right man. We have the right leader of Israel. He's done a great job, and we've been friends for a long time, and we do a great job also. And I think we have a combination that's very unbeatable, actually.
Can I ask you, what would happen, Mr. President, what would happen if you hear?
Wait a minute. Wait. Where is that person? Where's that person coming from? Come on, go. You go.
What would happen if you'll hear from the Israeli side today that they're not willing to go through with the deal to get all the hostages back home and finish the war?
We'll see what happens. Whatever happens, we'll be prepared to handle the situation.
Are the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
Mr. President.
No.
Are the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
No, they're not. No.
Are they demanding a path towards a Palestinian state or any other recognition?
Everybody's
of that
demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed. But everybody's demanding one thing. Very simple, peace. And he wants peace also.
Mr. President, do you think it's politically possible in Israel to get this deal done until the end?
To get the deal done?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, is it politically
Why wouldn't a deal get
possible?
done? A deal can get done. We'll see what happens. We're dealing with very complicated people. But a deal can absolutely get done.
Israeli strike on Iran.
We'll see what happens.
President Trump, I have one from Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along. And, I'll just tell you, I'm happy that they're here. And I'm sure the President is happy that they're here. And I would think that's about enough.
Prime Minister, what about Elizabeth Surkov, the Israeli hostage held in Iraq?
What about the Israeli press taking a press conference in Israel and not in Washington?
We would love to take a press conference to interview Prime Minister Netanyahu. A few more questions. Prime Minister Netanyahu, do you support going forward with this deal and getting all the hostages out?
I support getting all the hostages out and meeting all our war goals that include destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities and making sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Are you willing?
All three.
Are you willing
And
to
those
agree? Are you
things
willing
go
to agree?
together?
Are you willing
Can you
to agree
promise
to
to the
Trump's
families
vision
that you
to
do
bring
everything
all
to
the
get the hostages out?
Wait,
I think
wait.
that I should
One at a
talk to
time.
President
One at a
Trump,
time. So
okay?
I'll ask, do you agree with Trump's vision of getting all the hostages back home, even if it means to end the war?
Well, I'm not sure that you articulate correctly what the President's vision is. You can ask, he can speak for himself. He does that very, very well. I have my own views, 3 goals, not 1, not 2, 3 goals, and I will meet all 3 goals. I think the President can help enormously. He brings fresh thinking. Fresh thinking.
Terrorists who murdered hundreds of people who listed their own as the part of the deal.
It's a horrible thing. We can't forget it. I'll never forget it, and you can't forget it. And some people want to put it out of their memory, but we're not going to ever let that happen. It was a horrible day, October 7th. That was a horrible period of time. And a lot of people like to pretend it didn't happen. It happened. It's a big group of people that like to pretend it didn't happen, like the Holocaust didn't happen. Same mindset. No, we're going to get this thing wrapped up, and we're going to get it done. We're also dealing I think, very successfully with Russia, Ukraine. We're going to hopefully get that one done at some point in the not too distant future. That's a complex problem also. But we solve problems. We'll, you know, when I left, we had no problem. There was no Ukraine and Russia fighting. There was no October 7th. There was nothing. And some very poor leadership led to a lot of problems and a lot of death. And it's a shame, but we'll put it out. We'll put out the fires. We have a lot of fires, but we'll put them out.
Mr. President, why do you still support the Palestinian state like the peace plan you presented in January 2020? Is this plan still on the table?
Well, a lot of plans change with time, and a lot of death has occurred since I left and now came back. This death occurred not while I was here, but while somebody else was here. It shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have allowed it to happen. It would have never happened, and that includes Russia, Ukraine would have never happened. Not even a little bit, not even a chance. But now we are faced with a situation that's different, in some ways better and in some ways worse. But we're faced with a very complex and difficult situation, but we'll solve the problem.
Egypt, what other countries you think might accept Palestinians from Gaza?
Well, I think Jordan and Egypt will. I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will. But I think other countries will accept also. I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, it's all, I mean, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. You look over the decades, it's all death in Gaza. This has been happening for years. It's all death. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza. And right now you have in Gaza a very dangerous situation in terms of explosives all over the place. In terms of tunnels that nobody knows who's in the tunnel. The whole thing is a mess. And I think that if we can resettle, and I believe we can do it in areas where the leaders currently say no. I mean, I've been saying that with Mexico, having to do with the border and all of the things, and you saw what happened, 10,000 soldiers, and they're going to do a good job. I really believe that, and I believe Canada is going to do a good job also. And they said the same thing, and then they did something much different than what you were hearing. This is a very, very difficult situation, but we're going to get it solved. I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. I think that Gaza has been very unlucky for them. They've lived like hell. They lived like you're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. And the only reason they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is because they have no alternative. What's the alternative? Go where? There's no other alternative. If they had an alternative, they'd much rather not go back to Gaza and live in a beautiful alternative that's safe. Peter?
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while the rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build them through massive amounts of money supplied by other people, very rich nations, and they're willing to supply it. If we can build something for them in one of the countries, and it could be Jordan, it could be Egypt, it could be other countries, and you could build 4 or 5 or 6 areas. It doesn't have to be one area, but you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town, like someplace where they can live and not die. Because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. It's happened over and over again, and it's going to happen again as sure as you're standing there, Peter. So I hope that we could do something where they wouldn't want to go back. Who would want to go back? They've experienced nothing but death and destruction.
If Egypt and Jordan tell you no, what will you do then?
Well, I don't think they're going to tell me no. I don't think they're going to
What
tell.
will you do?
I think they're going to tell Biden no, and I think they're going to tell other people no. I
So
don't
you think
no.
it will happen at the end?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah,
How
I'd like to
many
see it
people
happen.
are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking
All of the
about
guys.
probably 1,000,007 people, 1,000,007, maybe 1,000,008. But I think all of them. I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying every day.
What areas are on
No.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
do you support building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next years?
Say it.
Building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next year. Do you support this idea?
I don't see it happening. It's too dangerous for people. Nobody can go there. It's too dangerous. Nobody wants to be there. Warriors don't want to be there. Soldiers don't want to be there. How can you have people go back? You're saying go back into Gaza now? The same thing's going to happen. It'll only be death. The best way to do it is you go out and you get beautiful, open areas with the sunlight coming through, and
No,
you
that's
build
not what I meant.
something nice.
Building
And
Israeli
they are not
settlements
going to
back
want
in
to.
Gaza.
They are not going to want to go back to Gaza.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, what is your message to the families of the hostages that look at this deal, that are worried that this deal won't go through? What do you say to them in this moment?
Same message I said from the beginning of the war. We'll get them out, get them back. We got over 70%, close to 75% of the people who everybody believed will not get out. We got them in successive deals, and most recently with the help of President Trump. We're not going to give up on any of them, and we're not going to give up on our other war aims. Hamas is not going to be in Gaza, and we're going to get everyone back.
And you would not have.
Prime Minister, how optimistic are you about reaching phase 2 of the ceasefire? How optimistic are you about that happening?
Well, we're going to try. That's one of the reasons, one of the things we're going to talk about here. And if we, you know, when Israel and the United States work together, and President Trump and I work together, you know, the chances go up a lot. It's when we don't work together, Israel and the United States don't work together, that creates problems. When the other side sees daylight between us, and occasionally in the last few years, to put it mildly, they saw daylight, then it's more difficult. When we cooperate,
isn't it the right
chances
time
are
to
good.
hit once and for all?
Say it.
Now that Iran is so weak, isn't it the right time to hit their nuclear facilities once and for all?
So you say Iran is so weak. I appreciate you saying that. They're not weak. They're very strong right now, and we're not going to allow them to have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You know, I signed a very strong proclamation. Iran was in big trouble when I left. They were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. You had no problem. October 7th could have never happened. When I left, October 7th could have never happened. And frankly, Russia and Ukraine, as I said, could never have happened. They became very strong very fast. They sold massive amounts of oil to China and everybody else who would not buy the oil when I was president, because we said, don't buy the oil. And they became very rich very quickly. But they're not weak. They're not weak. They're strong. Doesn't mean they won't be weak. But you know what? We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear
The
weapon.
Prime Minister, sorry, Mr. President, the Prime Minister wants you to strike Iran. That's what he wants.
You don't know what he wants. What do you know about anything? Go ahead.
But is that option on the table?
Yes, please.
President Trump, is that option on the table?
You're not just talking about Jordan and Egypt.
No, could be other places too.
So in the Gulf,
There are many people that have reached out, many countries, many leaders of countries that have reached out that would like to participate in that. Doesn't have to be Jordan and Egypt, but I think it would be also them.
Mr. President, your relationship with Mr. Netanyahu knew ups and downs. How would you describe it?
No, I think it's mostly ups.
Mr. President, what about the Palestinian Authority? Should we rule Gaza? Because Gaza will be empty?
What?
The Palestinian Authority, can it rule Gaza? What do you think?
Well, it's had a pretty hard time, wouldn't you say? I'd say it's had a pretty bad time of it.
Mr. President, Qatar has you've criticized in the past as a funder of terrorism, so as the Prime Minister, do you think they're part of the solution or part of a problem moving forward?
I think they're trying to help. Qatar is absolutely trying to help. I know them very well, and they're doing everything they can. Very tough situation, but they're absolutely trying to help. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.